Hey yo, Farmer Dre back at us. Another beautiful day here on the farm. Well, it's nice and beautiful here in the greenhouse because we've got the fire rolling in the wood stove. But outside it's like 1 degree. Tonight's supposed to get down to -11. We're out here in Southwest Missouri. We don't have harsh winters usually. I mean, we get anywhere from 800 to 1200 chill hours per year, which is perfect growing area for fruit trees and whatnot. Minus spring frost, sometimes we battle. But anyways, we usually have pretty mild winters from pretty, nice temperatures, but this week is just absolutely miserable and absolutely cold. And right now it's currently snowing outside. But since we don't have much going on here on the farm, today I'm going to tell you guys how I am going to make over $100,000 this year growing tomatoes. If you guys have been following my channel for some time now, you guys know that I did graduate with my bachelor's in horticulture in spring of 2020. So this is my first year officially out of college, and I'm planning on making over $100,000 with tomatoes this year. So let's go get into the details of that. But first I want to show you guys the tomato plants behind me here. Before we get started in the video, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the tomato varieties that we are growing this year. So over here, as you guys can see here, these are the Big Dina tomatoes. They're ready to be transplanted. They're about a foot tall now, growing beautifully. And the Big Dinas are just a trial for me this year. We're going to be planting half of high tunnel number 1 with Big Dinas. And then we got Red Deuce. It is the to-go tomato here on our farm. And these are all big slicer tomatoes. And then, of course, we got 1 row going in of these Carolina Golds, which are a yellow tomato. So I made a whole video on variety selection earlier this year. So before you guys get to plant tomatoes, make sure you guys watch that video, tomato variety selection. But before I got started, I want to show you guys the varieties that we are growing and how the tomato plants are looking. We have 3 high tunnels here on our farm. So we got number 1, 2, and 3. We just got done installing number 3 here about 2 months ago. And my brother Val is putting up a high tunnel up on his place, which is right fence to fence with our place. And it's the same farmland. I mean, he's putting up one on his place. So I'm gonna have 4 high tunnels to work with, 3 right here back to back and 1 over there. But the numbers I'm gonna talk to you guys about are the numbers that I pulled off the tomatoes in 2019 and 2020. And I actually did this. I mean, this is the real numbers that we pulled off the tomatoes. And if you guys been watching my other tomato videos, you guys know that I'm big into tomato fertilizing and tomato fertility. And without those, there's no way you can grow a good, decent crop of tomatoes if you don't spoon feed your tomato plants and keep the fertilizer going weekly. So if you guys are more interested in those kind of videos, go ahead and check out some of my older videos. But today is all about the numbers, and that's what keeps me on my feet, keeps me excited, keeps me going. So in 2019 season, I only had 1 high tunnel here on the farm, and I did average 23 pounds per plant. And in 2020 season, I averaged 25.6 or 25.7, or I think I just averaged up to 26 pounds per plant. My goal is to hit that 30 pounds per plant mark, but I was still able to make, $36,000+ out of 1 30 by 96 high tunnel in 2019 and 2020. So in 2019 season, I did make $36,000 out of the first high tunnel we have. And in 2020, I made $41,000, and that is actual numbers. If you guys go back and watch my other videos where I talk about that stuff more in detail, more expenses and more of what it costed cost of production to produce those tomatoes. But now that we have 3 high tunnels here on our farm, and we got 1 going up on Val's place, that gives me the opportunity to make over $100,000 in this season 2021 just off growing tomatoes. So I am still figuring out the nitty-gritty stuff about fertilizers, and there's always something new to learn. And I was talking to an older farmer and an older gentleman, and he was telling me he's in his 90s, and he is telling me he was going to all these conferences and keep on learning, keep on progressing. And I was like, okay, you're 90 years old. Why do you still keep going to these conferences? Because he's not actually farming. He just likes helping out other farmers. And then he tells me, the day I stop learning is the day I die. So that I took that to heart, and that's how I am. I'm not going to continue progressing and continue learning until the day I get someone buries me 6 feet under. So I don't care how old I am. there's always room to progress. There's always room to learn more and more and more about a certain topic, especially in agriculture. Agriculture is such a diverse industry that if you think you know something, you know, talk to another farmer, he does stuff completely different. So there's always something to learn, always something to progress on. So that's the thing, I'm trying to get the nitty-gritty stuff down, trying to figure things out. But I did find a system that works great on our farm with our soil conditions, and it works really great for us. So kind of the scheduling of the tomatoes. So the tomatoes you guys see here on the table are gonna go in high tunnel number 1 in a couple weeks. So the last week of February, beginning of March, that's when we're gonna transplant them in high tunnel number 1. We do got a wood heat stove in there, or wood stove, and then we're putting in a propane heater to kind of help heat the tomatoes up. So here in Southwest Missouri, our last frost-free date on the average, everybody says about May 1st. So my goal is to have ripe tomatoes before our last frost comes. So I had a few comments in my other videos, and like, you're so far south in the United States, it's easy for you to push tomatoes so early. I'm like, but these things, the tomatoes, are heated up until harvest. So there is a lot more time and energy and, you know, a different cost of trying to get tomatoes so early. But one thing that drives me to get tomatoes so early is the price at market. Kind of backtracking here and kind of the backstory. So during the summer, we do 8 different farmers market. And of course, we have the orchard side of the farm that, you know, I haven't been making too many videos on here lately because it's been so cold. We just started pruning. So we do run about 35 acres of berries and orchard, and the goal with that is U-pick. So we are a U-pick operation. Tomatoes is just something we got in, you know, the past couple of years, the last 4 years actually. But our main goal, we start off with strawberries in the fall. So we have over 2 acres of strawberries planted, plastic culture strawberries, and we have blackberries, an acre blackberries on the RCA trellis system. We got blueberries, we got apples, of course, and then we got peaches, which sad story this year, since it's getting so cold, we might have to say goodbye to our peach crop just because it's getting so cold and the buds might die off. But anyway, that's a video for a whole nother time. So our main goal, our operation is centered around the U-pick of the orchard and the berry farm. So tomatoes are just an extra. So we do 8 farmers markets during the season, and that's, you know, Tuesday through Saturday. We're going to multiple farmers markets during the day. And, you know, tomatoes is just complimentary on what else we have on the table at the farmers market. So whenever you go early spring with strawberries, tomatoes are just an extra. And if you guys probably heard me tell the story before, but the first time I did a farmers market, you know, every tomato vendor would sell out super fast. I was like, man, why don't we get into tomatoes? And then, long story short, we got our first high tunnel up, and now we got 4 here on our farm. So on top of the farmers markets, we do have a store here on the farm, and we have a produce stand right off the main highway where we're at. So our farm is about half mile up off the highway, but we have a produce stand there on the highway. So, you know, before I get talking about the numbers and everything like that, you know, marketing is number 1. I mean, if you don't have anywhere to sell your product, then there's no point of growing so many tomatoes, because you're growing yourself a big compost pile. Nobody wants to grow a product and then have to throw it away. So if you don't have a market, then, you know, first do that marketing study. First research where you're gonna sell your product, and then start growing your tomatoes. So we're pretty fortunate here on the farm, or I am, with my tomatoes, because we have so many outlets of selling these farm fresh tomatoes that for me, you know, I just can't grow enough. So that's why I'm able to grow and sell so many tomatoes. But like I mentioned, if you don't have anywhere to sell your products, then you're kind of wasting your time, you know. So do your market research, do your studies, do whatever you got to do to get rid of your tomatoes, and then go ahead and plant your tomatoes. So if I average the price of, you know, on a per tunnel basis, you know, I pull on average, I came to this conclusion, if I pull 12,000 pounds of tomatoes out of a high tunnel, that guides me anywhere from $36,000 to, you know, $40,000, depending on the price of the market in the season. So I'm gonna say, you know, $38,000, you know, it will be an average for a high tunnel, you know, depending on the year and whatnot. So $38,000 times 4 high tunnels, that's $152,000 of gross revenue if I'm able to do that $38,000 per tunnel, which I did in years past. It shouldn't be a problem this year. And, you know, that's the goal and the plan. So do, you know, on average 12,000 pounds, 12 to 15,000 pounds out of a high tunnel. And our average price for #1 large tomatoes is $3 during the summer, $3.75, $4 in the early spring. And do that price, you know, up until when the market kind of gets flooded with tomatoes, and drop our price at $3 a pound. So for our #1 tomatoes, we do get $3 a pound for tomatoes. And Isaac's in here trying to bother me here. So that's what drives me to get these early tomatoes, is the market price, because they're so much more valuable in early spring. 4 tunnels, and on an average, and even if I said $36,000 per tunnel, or even 30, you know, $30,000, being very, very conservative, which, I mean, that's a no-brainer. I should be able to get that, no problem. So 3 times 4 is $120,000 worth of tomatoes. But, you know, as I keep on progressing and learning more about tomatoes, I'm aiming for that 30 pounds per plant mark. And we fit anywhere from 350 to 400 tomato plants per tunnel. So if I do hit that 30 pounds per plant mark, you know, the numbers keep going up and up. So, you know, it's just an uphill, you know, just the sky's the limit whenever it comes to yield. So that's why I'm trying different varieties, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. So that's the beauty of, you know, doing stuff on your own, is you're able to try out stuff. You know, if you make it big, you're gonna win big, but if you miss hard, you miss hard. So you just a big loss. But that's the beauty of, you know, trying to do stuff on your own and figuring things out on your own skin, is because, you know, yes, it hurts whenever you lose, but if you win and you make it big, then the numbers are there. So this is gonna be pretty much it for today. Like I said, that is a goal, that's the plan. And you guys hit that subscribe button so you guys can be notified whenever I do upload a video, so you guys can stay tuned with the progress and the progression that I'm gonna make in the year 2020 with my tomatoes. So this is just kind of what gets me excited at the beginning of the summer, is to break things down and figure out, you know, hey, we could potentially do this, and it's gonna happen. So this is gonna be pretty much it for today. If you guys haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, go ahead and smash that like button. If you guys enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that notification icon so you guys can be notified whenever I do upload a video. I wanna say thanks for watching up to this point. You guys have a good day, and we will see you next time.